Hello everyone. Just letting you guys know before you listen to the commentary that whilst we were recording, Kirk's laptop ran out of memory and we had to pause it and start again, and this happened a couple times. I've had to retime the commentary, so I've had to try and sync it up with the movie. It might not be perfect. You might find it maybe 1 or 2 seconds off base. Hopefully it shouldn't be so much that it will distract your viewing experience if you are watching the movie along with us. But if you hear a couple gaps, that's basically what it is. That's all. Thanks. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. You're listening to Sam's podcast, and I'm here with my good buddy, Kirk Beattie.
Hello, Sam. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, Kirk. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, listeners? Are you good? That's good. I can't hear you, but here we are.
Kirk, it's been a good 2 years since we did the commentary to Spider-Man. We've been shit.
You know, we talked about doing this like pretty soon after we did the first one.
Yeah.
And then time got away from us. And then last year, we'd actually set time aside to do it. And then things happened. And, here we are. It's, it's like you said, 2 years. There's 2 years between the films as well. 2002,
there you go. It's intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. And there you go. It's intentional. Everything we said was a lie. This is planned all along.
Well, I guess we should say, because there are 2 versions of this film, we are going to be discussing the theatrical version. The extended one isn't that hugely different a movie. It's just, the occasional scene is extended or whatnot, or changed in a negative way, or a positive way if it's an action scene.
Yeah.
But so we're going to do the theatrical one. So everyone, get your movie up, get it to timestamp 0, and then we're going to press play now. One thing I like about Danny Elfman's score in this one is that he puts a little twinkle in this one at the very start.
He does, yeah.
I think the secret behind his theme for this movie is that it's exciting, it's bombastic, and it's all this stuff, but there's an underlying sadness to it all. And I think
absolutely, yeah.
I think that gives it an emotional hook that you just can't beat. And I think people have tried.
I would absolutely agree with that. It's funny when you look at the 3 Sam Raimi Spider-Man films and how the score kind of changes. Obviously, the third one, it's not Danny Elfman doing the score. It's another gentleman whose name I'm forgetting.
Thomas Hooper?
I think it's I want to say Christopher Young.
Possibly.
Whose work I don't know him from anything else apart from Spider-Man 3, but I've never really liked the Venom theme in that movie. But we'll get to that movie eventually.
Yeah,
but
in 2 years.
Yeah, or 3 years if we want to wait the amount of time between.
Yeah, I do actually prefer this score to the first movie. I think the Doc Ock theme is really good.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, and I really like this intro as well. I really like the Alex Ross artwork here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the great comic book artists of all time because of how, these honestly could just be, photos that they've made to look like paintings. I mean, Defoe just there, like that was just absolutely that face I love to use. But yeah, it's a really, really good opening, and I think it's one of the more underrated openings because it just looks so good.
Yeah, and it does the classic telling you everything about the origin within the opening few minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if Spider-Man Homecoming takes a few ideas from this.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because they did it with the Incredible Hulk.
They did. That was what I was going to bring up. I think Incredible Hulk is another one of those intros that really works, in terms of telling you what you need to know about the character if you're, coming in completely cold, but not taking... not taking for granted that the audience might not know who the character is. Or, in this instance, they're not taking for granted that everybody saw Spider-Man 1, but the chances are you have, so they're just covering what needs to be covered while doing it in an opening credit sequence. I like opening credit sequences. Not a whole lot of films like this do them anymore, so, yeah.
I think it eases the audience in.
Yeah.
I think studios show less faith in audiences' attention spans these days.
Yeah, it's like I really liked the opening to Batman vs Superman. I liked that opening a lot, and it established. I mean, apart from the fact that they called back to the Martha thing later, but that notwithstanding, it was kind of cool to see this interpretation of such a famous event in Batman's life, done by a different director and with different actors and what have you. So that was really interesting. And they also used it as the opening credits sequence. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah. I think Toby Maguire is just such a... I never really took notice of it till I watched it recently, but he is such a great comedic actor. The comedy he finds in his awkward performance, and a huge part of it is Raimi as well. But them being together, it's so funny. The scenarios that Peter Parker has put in.
He knows where the camera is at all times. Like he's got really good timing. He works well off of what the other actors are giving him. I think he's once again another one of those really underrated actors. He's
definitely.
Beyond Spider-Man, it's not like he went on to do as much as some other actors who started.
Well, he likes his indie slash. He likes doing a bit of everything. But the most recent kind of big movie he did was Great Gatsby, which he was very good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. And he's not the sort of actor that you'd necessarily... when I say it's not like you don't see him in a lot, I feel like with a lot of actors who get a big role in a Hollywood film, then suddenly you see them in, maybe this is a little bit more 90s, early 2000s, but then you see them in like leading a giant... like apocalyptic type film, like a Michael Bay film, an Armageddon or something like that. Maguire's not that sort of actor, and he's not that sort of.
No.
That's what makes him perfect for Spider-Man.
Oh, definitely.
What might not make him perfect for a Michael Bay film.
I was when I was watching this, I was just thinking that. Because a lot of people are asking at the minute, who's the best Spider-Man now that Tom Holland has come on the scene in Captain America Civil War. And, I think there's a place for both the timid... Because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is more timid and serious. But I think there's a place for both of them because his Peter Parker is just so well realised. And I think it's a more realistic one. They made a conscious decision to change things here. But, I can safely say that I buy that this Peter Parker is a real person 100%. And, Maguire's just the perfect actor for it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely went through my period where I was like, I don't know if Maguire is necessarily my Peter Parker. But I had to really understand what the character was about again to truly appreciate his performance in some ways. But I still think he's, at this current time, after only seeing Tom Holland in Civil War, I would definitely say it's still Maguire for me. That might change next year, but I think Tom Holland in that one scene with Downey was immediately, like a very worthy and it's just an excellent Peter Parker. But the way the character is realized over these three films, I still think it's Maguire for me. But here's the actress from Bones, Emily Deschanel.
That's where she's from.
Yeah, in an early role. It's funny, Joe's Pizza here, it's a bit of a franchise in America.
Is it?
When I was living in LA, there was a Joe's Pizza, and I geeked out, because I was like, oh crap, Joe's Pizza from Spider-Man 2. But I also like how this guy in the background looks like he's just talking to the wall. It's always cracked me up. Like whispering things to the wall, but
I definitely think there's a place for both Holland and Maguire's versions of Spider-Man. I can do with the quippy, confident one, but it's really easy to make that overbearing. I think they get it perfectly in Civil War, but one joke too many and he becomes Deadpool. So
exactly, it's knowing the difference between Spider-Man and Deadpool, I don't expect them to make Peter Parker.
Which is
Deadpool
something that I think
yeah.
Hollywood needs to learn, because it's very clear that even fans think that Spider-Man's Deadpool, some of them. So here's J.K. Simmons in the greatest casting in the world.
The great man that he is, yeah. He's
really kind of had a career resurgence in the past couple of years, hasn't he? I mean, he's always been around,
Absolutely.
but, you're seeing his name everywhere, and now he's going to play Commissioner Gordon.
He is, yeah, and it's funny, I remember probably around the time Spider-Man 2 came out, he was one of those actors that was just, you saw him in things, he had that show, The Closer, and I remember seeing him in an episode of Without a Trace, and being like, oh, that actor, because he was in Oz, that was the main thing I think a lot of people knew him for, right. And then it wasn't until I looked it up later, or recognized his name, something I was like, oh, he's J. Jonah Jameson? Didn't even realize. I think I probably said this in the last commentary, but I'll never forget seeing Spider-Man 1 for the first time, the moment where you first see him, he pulls the newspaper down.
Yeah.
It's a criminal, that's who he is. I just remember my mind being blown at just how perfect he looked, straight off the page. And, he's still one of the best castings of any comic book character. He is so spot on, even though he's, got a fake mustache and a wig.
Yeah.
It's perfect casting.
That was Sam Raimi that hit him with the second backpack there.
Yeah, I love the blooper where his head gets caught. Yeah. That's something as well, the bloopers for these movies.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Well, you can they just had so much fun making them.
Yeah.
They were originally planning to, a treatment for Spider-Man 4 was that they were going to take Kurt Connors and do Lizard, which I thought would have been pretty cool, because I think they did a pretty concise job of making him a familiar character in the series that they could then develop on. I'm not sure I have some things to say about him in Spider-Man 3, because Peter just walks in there with a black symbiote and he doesn't ask, what? How did you get this?
He doesn't report this to the government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that could have been cool. So, Kirk, the reason this movie is the best Spider-Man movie is because it is literally Peter Parker's life is shit because he's Spider-Man. And it is the universe pummeling him while he's down. It's funny every time, it's sympathetic every time, but it's about Peter Parker.
That's true, and it's funny, I want to know your opinion on this, because do they take it a step too far here in him forgetting his own birthday? Because I remember seeing this and being like, are you kidding me? He forgot his birthday?
Well,
and
Aunt May says whether you want to admit it or not, and that makes me ask, why doesn't he want to admit his birthday?
Yeah, I wondered if maybe his birthday was the next day or something like that. They were meeting, the night before or something.
Right.
It's unclear, but I think it's meant to be that he's so busy, he's got so much responsibility. There's that word, and that he doesn't even know what day it is, and it's his actual birthday. But here's this lady who's got this acting career on Broadway, and she's busy every night, and here's the this man running this multi-million-dollar company, and Harry, and these people that live busy lives that have taken time out of their busy schedules to celebrate Peter's birthday, and Peter's forgotten it. I think it's kind of well done, but I do wonder if maybe it is slightly too much Peter forgetting his birthday.
Yeah. And it's good that they got them all in a scene together, because you'll never see them all in the same scene after this.
No, in any of the rest of the franchise, actually.
Not all of them. I mean, you see Harry and Mary Jane briefly in Spider-Man 3. Let's try not to talk too much about Spider-Man 3.
We've got to save that for 3 years' time.
Yeah.
But this is a scene that's extended in 2.1.
Yeah, Kirk and I were talking before we started recording how there's a line, this goes on for a couple beats longer, where Harry says to, Peter, don't you know I want him dead? I want Spider-Man dead, like you want the man responsible for your uncle's death dead. And it's just a bit on the nose, and I think it's unneeded.
I would say, having seen, this cut of the film, the theatrical cut, that it's not necessarily necessary. But I kind of like it. I don't mind it. I also like how it then pans over to Harry looking at a photo of Peter and Norman
like
at the graduation. Because it's just a reminder of that part of the story.
Yeah. And he does have a decent line saying, "I don't mean to get angry on your birthday."
Yeah, because I guess one thing that people could argue is not necessarily well done is that they leave it on that beat there of Harry being sort of mad at Peter for not giving up Spider-Man's identity, and then the next time you see them together, Harry's introducing Peter to Otto, which I guess, it leaves it a little ambiguous at the end of the scene we just saw, and then suddenly they're friends again, but, it's also a birthday party later as well, so I guess you presume they made up.
Rosemary Harris is just brilliant in these films.
Oh, yeah. The best Aunt May.
Oh, definitely.
Without question. The perfect Aunt May as well. She's exactly what the character should be, and not even from from a comic book adaptation standpoint, she's perfect, but for what these films needed, she's perfect as well.
Yeah. And, you go... Every single emotion she displays, you go along with it with her.
Yeah.
She's, that's the quality... It's the mark of a great actress.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, it's interesting how this is a subplot in the film. Peter needing to take responsibility for Uncle Ben's death, which he didn't do in the first film.
Yeah.
It's riding on him, this 2 years later that he feels he has to.
Well, I mean, the story of the first movie, both of these are coming of age stories, really. I actually think this is a perfect adult Peter Parker movie, because we're obviously not going to get one of those for a long time now. But he's living on his own. He's got jobs. He's trying to make it on his own. He's not at college anymore. But he's still got financial problems. He's still having bad luck with women. It's just a great movie that understands, where the true drama of Spider-Man comes from.
Yeah.
And we were saying before, again, that this scene is irrevocably changed when in the extended cut. Because in the extended cut, about halfway through their conversation, Mary Jane says, "Oh, you should come to the play," and Peter goes, "I'll try," which is the obvious "I probably won't come," which kind of gets her down. And then she tells him that she's seeing someone, and he goes, "I'm going to see your play tomorrow." So it's a bit.
Yeah,
I think it works much better, the original version.
Exactly. I think this extended version's intention is, he changes his mind when she says that she's seeing somebody, so it's like, "Oh, I've got to come see your play tomorrow." So it makes Peter look pretty kind of bad, but I guess in some ways, and this is a plot in the film that I gotta admit I do have a little bit of a problem with, with both of the characters, is that Peter decides he can't be with Mary Jane at the end of the first film to protect her. And throughout this film, he learns poetry and things like that to try and impress Mary Jane. And also at the end of the first film, Mary Jane gives off the indication when they kiss at the cemetery that she suspects that Peter is Spider-Man, and then throughout this film gets mad at him when he doesn't show up for things when she should be putting two and two together like she did at the end of the first film. But it's just kind of a funny, both of these characters are still trying to get with each other when they both subconsciously know why they can't. It's just a funny plot that happens with both of these characters. Yeah.
I mean, because I buy it. Maybe ignoring the first movie, I think it works really well in this. But there is that kind of, does she know? Doesn't she know? But they don't really allude to it much in this one at all until she kind of says, "Oh, I think I always knew."
There's that scene where she asks him to
kiss her.
There's that scene. But this is. What do you think of these, Mr. Ditkovich here? I like that they put Ditko in his name.
Yeah.
But, what do you think of this character and the daughter?
Funny. I'm not sure. I've never really known what the deal with the daughter is. I think she's a comic book character named Imogen.
Oh, okay.
I think there's meant to be a thing between Peter and her in the comics. I've heard this in a special feature, so I don't. That's the most I know. I might even have misheard it because I remember hearing this about 10 years ago. But
Right.
but I mean, they have a nice moment later on, but I've never really known what to think of it.
Yeah, I like it. I think they're funny. I think they help provide levity and and things like that to the film. But also the scene where she brings him the cake later and things like that, I think really works.
Yeah.
And also just the running gag of the rent, like we're going to see here.
Yeah. And I also like that they, again, it's the universe making sure we know that Peter Parker's life is not that great. He gets fired from 2 jobs and then luckily manages to survive the last job. And can't make anything in time, forgets it's his birthday, he's losing his friends, then he gets home and he lives in a shithole.
yeah, exactly. It's funny, like, he's got this studio apartment that, like, it sounds like it's on top of a subway,
Yeah.
It's like you hear the train pass and things like that. Yeah, it's pretty great. And here's another one of the great casting choices as well. Alfred Molina, I just think, is absolutely spot on for
definitely.
Doc Ock. Yeah. Like, this whole franchise, I think, is very well cast.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, this is I like James Franco as an actor, but I think he's at his best in these films, honestly.
Oh, well, these were the films where he was really, I don't want to say trying, but it didn't feel like an experiment or an art house kind of social experiment. Like, they all kind of feel like that now. I don't know why.
Sure, I mean, he does a lot of those films with Seth Rogen and things like that, which, if you're part of the audience that likes those, that's cool. It's not necessarily my cup of tea comedy-wise, but, I think... And obviously he's done great work in, 148 Hours and things like that, but
he is great in that.
Yeah, but I think, funny enough, like, these films really helped make him. For a long time he was most known for these, where I think that's kind of changed with time. But, I just think he's really good as Harry Osborn. And this Harry that's trying so hard to be his father after trying to get the approval of his father in the first film. I like that story with the character as well, and I think Franco plays it really well.
It's almost a bizarre casting choice now, having seen the rest of his filmography.
Yeah, exactly. And Alfred Molina, who I didn't know prior to this, but, was a great actor and, is a veteran and what have you. And I really like the actress playing his wife as well.
She's in a Star Trek movie, which is a crap film, but she's very good in this for what little time she has.
I knew her for Center Stage, the ballet movie, where she's a ballet teacher. But I really like Alfred Molina in this. He's such a perfect mentor type role for Peter here, where he's he says like, "Oh, I love this boy," and things like that, but he's just constantly giving him advice.
I like that in this scene it's kind of Peter seeing a life that he could have, because him and Octavius are pretty similar in their, they have that moment towards the end about dreams and what is their ultimate passion and where they want to go in life. And here he sees this successful scientist who's made it, and he's got a lovely wife, and they're very much in love, and I think he sees a life that he could have, which I think is quite subtle, but it's nice.
Yeah, and he also kind of he searches for father figures throughout the film a little bit as well, and and Otto is one of them potentially. I also like this gag where all of his whites are turned. red and blue, except for the fact that I think Peter would be smart enough not to wash his whites with colours.
Yeah. and again, he has to wash his stuff in a laundromat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this public laundromat.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what diseases he might get off of it or something.
I do want to know if you'd be able to wash that with regular clothes, the Spider-Man outfit.
Yeah, I feel like especially the mask.
Yeah.
Like the lenses on the mask. It's.
Do you reckon he has a glasses wipe in his pocket that he just carries around with him that he uses?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So my theory is he doesn't have any money because he wasted it all on a $50 million costume.
Yeah, exactly right. That is one thing that, you know, like I thought with Amazing Spider-Man we might get some actual insight into how he can afford a suit. We didn't get it, but we got it with Civil War. So I like that mystery's finally been solved.
Yeah, my favourite explanation has always been the wrestling company give it to him.
Oh yeah,
and then he just kind of paints the webs on. But I also like the way they do it in Civil War.
Yeah,
I do think they need to fix something about the way the suit comes across on screen from Civil War, because I love the design, and I'm told by different sources, I don't know who's correct, but that costume has had CG elements added onto it, but it kind of does scream Uncanny Valley to me.
It's funny
something not quite right about it.
Yeah, the cobwebs on the suit don't exactly stand out, which I sort of find funny. It makes it look like just a really, really red suit.
Yeah, a very rubbery condom.
Yeah, you're right. It looks very rubbery, but I mean, so does this to me. The suit in these films. Although I will say, like, I do like the suit in Amazing 2, but the original trilogy suit is still my favorite. Especially in this film, because they've changed the. I mean, this is getting into super geeky territory, but they've changed the tone of the red and things like that.
Yeah, it's they do richer colours in this one.
Exactly.
And they talk about it on the behind the scenes. It's a very subtle change, but I think it's more complementary to his physique in this one as well. But yeah, these to be fair, I think most people's basis for which to judge the Spider-Man costume nowadays is the eyepieces.
I love that
these
shot.
eyepieces are unlike. Yeah, that's a great shot. These eyepieces are unlike any others we've really seen before. I mean, it's subtle, but I think this costume's great as well.
Yeah. I like some of these stuff that, you know, because he's been Spider-Man for 2 years now. Like, he's got some of these his little things that he can do, like the impact webbing, you know, the balls of web that he shoots at people. Like, yeah, I like that stuff. Like, you'd think after being Spidey for 2 years, because the webs are an actual ability of his, he's learned how to do different things with his abilities. I like that.
Yeah.
And I
it's funny
love...
Sorry,
I was going to say, I love the importance of being earnest. I love that play a lot. And, yeah, it's just funny that it's the play they chose for this film. You wouldn't know, if you don't know the play, that it is a comedy. It's an absurd comedy.
And it's based on a man leading double lives.
Exactly, yeah, which is perfect. But yeah, like, you wouldn't know, based on the scenes of the play that they choose, that it's a comedy. You can sort of hear some laughter in the background of this scene, but... Yeah, but his... The man himself.
Yeah. Good old Brucey.
Yep.
Having now... I mean, last year was my John Carpenter, Sam Raimi familiarization year, where I just kind of engrossed myself in all of their works, all their most famous works. I finally checked out all the Evil Dead movies, and looking with the context of Sam Raimi's, the rest of his films, you know, Darkman and such, this is actually a pretty restrained... The Spider-Man trilogy are a pretty restrained set of movies for him.
Yes.
But, you know, when the film calls for his, filmmaking techniques, his unique off-kilter techniques, he really goes for it. Like you said, he always knows where the camera is, and he always finds new things to do with it. You know, they use the webcam in this much more
because they used it in the first one, but it was only for the last shot. And the webcam, for those that don't know, or spider cam, sorry, for those that don't know, they strapped up cameras all along New York City on wires and just basically fed the camera through, and then they would speed up the footage and pop Spider-Man in front of it. So they put a lot of effort into the special effects of this movie. I mean, the documentary goes on for a blooming hour and 50 minutes, or 2 hours even.
Yeah, I mean, this won an Academy Award for special effects, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how the 3 Raimi Spider-Man films all look very different. I'm not sure if we touched upon this in the last one, but they're shot... You'd think they were 3 different directors in some ways, just the way they're shot.
Yeah. I love that bit, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's great, yeah.
Well, I think the cinematography and the lighting is much better in this one than it was in the first. It looks more like a movie, not to
I agree.
dismiss the first movie. You can tell there's a bigger budget behind this one.
Yes. The first one, to me, is shot a lot more like a television series, and I don't say that in a disparaging way to TV, but even the aspect ratio, and in this, it's just, it looks more, I don't know, maybe they didn't shoot, did they shoot on film for the first one? I don't know. It's this one definitely looks like a film, like a motion picture.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they must have shot on film for the first one.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think of this subplot of... I mean, it's not really a subplot, it's a major plot of Peter losing his powers. Or should we talk about this elevator scene before we go on? Now, is this guy meant to be someone important?
He, I believe, was in Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and his character in that is like a massive comic book guy. I think. It's been a while.
I don't know if I've heard it or I've seen it somewhere, but I have the sense that this guy is meant to be someone like it's an in-joke, and I have no idea what it's about.
Oh yeah, when I first saw it, I had no idea. Yeah, because you're right, they treat it that way, like we're meant to know what this cameo is.
Yeah,
he's got some pretty great Garfield-like hair going on. But,
yeah,
it's I believe these scenes that they shot were completely improv. Which, once again, like Maguire coming up with it rides up in the crotch a little bit. It's pretty great.
Costume looks especially great here as well.
Yeah.
And I just love, like when Holland says, "Hey everyone," and it's this it's this little kid. In the same respect here, you hear Spider-Man talk and he's just this timid, awkward fella.
Yeah.
I like that. I can get funky with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So here's my
Look
question about this shot. Is Emma Rose a character in The Importance of Being Earnest?
No, I think it's meant to be like a fragrance company.
That's probably... Yeah, no, you're right. I always assumed it was for the play.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense for that to be like The Importance of Being Earnest. And Emma Rose is not a character in that play, but like...
Yeah. Well, I would have thought it would say, maybe, come see The Importance of Being Earnest. It seems a bit self-defeating. Here's a character.
Yeah, well, I think it's a fragrance company because it's got, like, New York, Paris, like, under it.
But right.
What's funny to me is, like, whoever hung up those posters did a really, really shit job. Like, they put, like, 100 all next to each other. They did not put those all throughout the city. That was poor.
Well, that's another Sam Raimi just kind of taking the piss a little bit and just be like, you know what, throw 100 Mary Jane posters in front of him, that'll be funny.
You think this dude's life sucks? Just wait till he walks past 100 photos of the woman he loves. Also, Mary Jane's apartment, like, there's some weird stuff going on in this. Like, there's all those pieces of paper that are just hanging from the ceiling that we might not see again.
Mandarin on them or something.
Yeah, they've got, like, Asian characters, but, yeah. Once again, adding just to how crappy this poor guy's life is. He's run out of quarters for the payphone.
There's a great moment in one of the comics when he's talking to... I forget the character's name, but it's the son of Reed Richards and Sue.
Oh, Franklin?
Yeah. And it's just after, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, I've only seen this online, but it's after
Johnny dies?
Johnny dies, and he goes and takes him out for a hot dog, And this is adult Spider-Man. He turns to the kid and says, "Have you got a quarter?" I think that's great. It's just those little touches. And this scene's really good.
Yeah.
Tobey's got an interesting kind of like hook mark on his face.
Dude, I'm so glad you pointed that out, because I have always just been like, what is that mark on his face? I've always noticed it, and nobody else does. Or at least I don't think they do. But yeah, I'm so glad you noticed it, man. Yeah, there's this mark that, like, when I was first watching, I'm like, oh, there's like a hair on his face. It's like, no, it's still there. It's a mark. But yeah.
Well, it's nowhere near as marked a face as... and I love Tobey laughing his arse off.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a nerd.
He loves that joke, and Harry's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Tobey's mark is nowhere near what Miles Teller's face looks like. That face looks like it's been through the wars. It's a nice face, but he's got all these marks on it.
You know, it's I can't remember why I saw this recently. I saw it. I think I was watching the trailer for some reason. I don't know. It's like a shot from the Fantastic Four movie that he's in, where he's trying to grow that facial hair. Man, that's a dude that's not meant to have facial hair.
Yeah.
Maguire looks good with facial hair, though.
He does. I think he kind of needs it, or else he's got a very young face.
He does, yeah. He's got a very youthful look. It's same with his voice, though. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's amazing he's ever been cast as an adult. I say that with nothing but love to Toby Maguire if he's listening. But yeah.
One thing to point out, and I know I'm gonna piss people off, when those things on the spinal section of the tentacles go in, and everyone goes, they wouldn't actually be able to see that because he's standing in front of them.
Oh God, you're right. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
That does make no sense. You're right.
My dad pointed that out to me, and I was like, "Dad."
Unless the sound was like really amplified for some reason, just ching, like yeah.
These tentacles still look fantastic.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
The reason being, sometimes they're practical. I mean, in this shot they are, in the close-ups, and in some cases they're CGI. But you know, watching this on Blu-ray for the first time, all the tentacle shots hold up. The only time the CG kind of goes off is if they do CG Alfred Molina. Yes,
there is a couple of shots in the train sequence where he does look a little CG. There's a couple. You hardly notice it. It's funny.
The good thing is they don't do Bryan Singer close-ups.
It
doesn't quite become that obvious.
Yeah, that one scene in Days of Future Past where Magneto's is putting the metal in the Sentinels. Man, that looks bad. In an otherwise,
I'm gonna have to have a look at that one.
Yeah, in an otherwise like perfectly looking film CGI wise, like that sequence is terrible.
Well, there was an episode of The Flash recently where he travels back in time and he fights the other Flash.
Who is
him from the past, and there's a shot that lingers on the two of them looking at each other.
Look at each other,
and it looks awful. I don't know why you would linger on that shot.
Yeah. And once again, I think that show does quite well CGI-wise for a television show.
Well, they cover it very well. All they got to do is a streak of lightning.
Yeah. But even with Grodd and some of the stuff that they've had to... Yeah, I think they've done fairly well. But, you know, the CGI in this film, as a whole, holds up perfectly, I think. Yeah. And it's funny, because Spider-Man 3 does not.
No, it doesn't. And the web-slinging is not as inventive in Spider-Man 3, I don't think. There are still great action sequences in 3, but the one I'm always let down by is when he's webbing towards Gwen Stacy. I don't know, this just looked like a very, so they just said, quick, put a web sling scene in there, and now we're talking about Spider-Man 3.
I'll say that just real quick, the shot in Spider-Man 3, when we eventually watch it, I'll point it out, but the shot in Spider-Man 3 where he's trying to save Mary Jane at the end, and he first runs into Venom, and he's falling, and he's got that bit of symbiote on him. He's trying to get it off. Oh, they CGI Toby's face, and I don't even know why.
One thing I like about this film is that they don't do the obligatory "Where did you go?" scene with every character in Peter, because he runs off in this scene and then he runs off in the bank heist.
Yeah.
And we don't have to have the awkward. So why did you run off? Because you don't really need it.
Yeah. I love him in this scene as well. Just look at him stamping.
I'm in charge.
Yeah, he's like a little child, just like flailing his arms about. I like how they managed to give, as a comic book fan, like I just like how they gave Doc Ock, found a reason to give him his big circular goggles.
Yes.
He's got sunglasses for the rest of the film, which works.
Yeah.
But they found a reason to give him his big evil goggles. It's great.
Because they gave her a pretty unforgiving death, didn't they?
That is brutal. Like, that has always made me cringe.
I think Sam Raimi, when he kills someone, he kills someone. I mean, I just want to see the scene when James Franco just looks at his dad's dead body and his bollocks are just completely disintegrated from the glider. Like, fuck it, what happened here?
Yeah.
Spider-Man, what did you do?
He's got that shattered jaw. Don't tell Harry. Thump. Like, yeah, he was a mess. I love Franco in this scene as well.
When he puts
I'm
on the
ruined.
glasses.
It's just...
He humiliated me by touching me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
Yeah. I think they nailed Harry Osborn up until the third movie.
Yeah, and honestly, he's one of the things I actually like about the third movie, in comparison to Sandman and Venom. But
well, he's the most involving, even though he's not that involving. But
yeah.
I think had they not, had 3 not turned out the way it did, I think if they just made Harry the main villain, they could have. I think it would have really have worked because they set the stage perfectly for it.
Yeah.
Well, now this scene might be considered controversial. What do you think of it?
Yeah, it is. It is Sam Raimi's love letter to Evil Dead.
Yeah, it's Sam Raimi's, back to horror thing, and I appreciate it from the perspective of he's having fun. Why not throw in a big dark scene? And it's a really great, it's really dark and unforgiving. There's no music. It's just horrible, really, to watch.
There are so many odes to himself that I think it does get on the nose.
I
the
think
chainsaw,
if you don't,
this shot here, the
and they also have the camera moving through things through the tentacle's eyes, which I think good excuse for the shot.
Even the silhouettes there. Yeah,
I do think if you don't know Sam Raimi, it's a really, really jarring scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's really fucking dark. Every time it's difficult to watch every time, and every time it cuts to like a wide shot like here. Oh god. It's horrible.
Yeah. I like this one here where the guy's like like the things on his face.
But I do think the zoom in's there.
Yeah. Look at this. This is Sam Raimi masturbating on the screen.
Yeah, that's the shot I was talking about.
I like this sequence, but I can completely understand.
I get why people wouldn't like it.
Yes, I 100%.
It's very well. It's extremely well made.
Yeah.
On a technical standpoint, a directing standpoint, and Alfred Molina's reaction is gold.
Oh yeah.
Even though I'm pretty certain he doesn't say no, if you look at his mouth.
Oh, really? I've never noticed that.
It looks like he just kind of screams in the air, but that was just something I picked up on last time. I might be wrong, but, it's a great performance. Oh, no, maybe I'm talking baloney.
Maybe. I think you're saying no, but it's interesting because what the nose signifies is not only does he have these arms attached to him, but his wife is dead, and he's the cause.
Yeah.
There's a couple of shots here I really like as well, where he's almost beginning to embrace a little bit here, and then just that's shot, boom,
shot. Yeah.
It's great. I don't know if there are a lot of these in New York, but I love how there's just this abandoned thing on the water that nobody thinks to check, because he works out of it for a good period of time.
So, for a brief moment, Spider-Man 2 had the potential to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with this little line.
Oh, the Doctor Strange line, yeah.
Yeah. Which I always thought was a perfect opportunity for it, but I guess we'll never get it.
I do like how they decided to reference another Ditko co-creation. I think that's pretty cool. I also like, just from a filmmaking perspective, they've got these windows here that blur the city, because obviously it's most likely
they're probably just backdrop.
Yeah, so they found a way to make it not look fake. It's by making the glass make it look all blurry. I think that's actually pretty smart.
Yeah. Now there's this little moment here.
That stare that Robbie gives him, just I've never quite known how to take that. I love Toby's reaction, but just that Spider-Man was there, this judging stare.
If there's this is great, this bit.
This is
J.K.
legendary.
Simmons pissing himself.
Yeah.
I think if there's one criticism I can give the film, it's that J. Jonah Jameson's son is... I think he could do with a scene. I think there's one scene or two that's missing that would make us like him more, or make it feel like he had more to be around for, and maybe even make Mary Jane a little more sympathetic. Because I do get why she does what she does in the movie, but it's just a couple scenes short of making her more sympathetic, I think.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like John Jameson is just sort of a very vain... Like, there's that scene where she kisses him upside down and he goes, "I'm back on the moon." Like, I feel like, oh, God, this fucking guy. But at the same time, maybe, we don't get to know him, so we don't feel sorry for him when Mary Jane essentially cuts out his heart and takes a giant shit on it. Which is like,
That's what the scene's called on the chapters.
Yeah, I'm just quoting the script, actually. I do have a problem with that in some ways, that she runs from the funeral, embarrasses the poor man in front of his family and friends.
Yeah.
What a bitch. At the same time, it's that Wolverine Jean Grey thing, where it's like people don't like Cyclops because they don't get to know Cyclops, and it's sort of similar here.
Molina's great in this. It's literally just him on his own monologuing.
Yeah, this yes that he does. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's so good. Oh, look at him.
I love the outtake for this shot.
Yeah, where he falls
says,
into the...
We can rebuild. Because they drop him into a hole.
It's funny, when I saw the bloopers for this movie, I was like, man, Alfred Molina, it seems like a real fun guy. Cause I sort of took him as, I bet he's like a super serious actor. He sort of gave off that vibe to me, but
he's the star of the outtakes.
Absolutely, and I absolutely love his Lex Luthor in Robot Chicken. So, I mean...
of course, I forgot he did that.
Yeah, he's the man.
Lexi.
Yeah.
Now, this guy's an actor on Community.
Yeah, he's someone that's gone on to some stuff as well.
I don't watch Community, but I recognise him.
Yeah, neither do I, but he's... I feel bad that I'm forgetting his name. But it's funny.
Dude.
Yeah. It's funny how there's some TV actors in this movie, people who went on to be leads in TV shows. You had Bones earlier, and you got this fella.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth Banks gone on to do a lot as well.
Exactly. Yeah, she's another one.
And I like her, hers and Peter's little moment in this. where they don't quite do the whole Betty Brant relationship thing, but they give a little, they'd probably bang if they wanted to.
I like how she encourages him earlier in the film with the chin up. And so I also liked her in the first film where Peter's like trying to be real cool. It's like, I'm a photographer. She's like, yeah, I can see that. It's great. I actually like how subtle Betty Brant is in these films.
Yeah.
They could have easily have made her, she's the hot chick that works for JJ.
Yeah. The secretary. I will say that shot just now of Ock taking off the bank door looks a little bit off. It's the crack in the wall.
That's it, and it's also funny when you actually watch what Molina does. He's like pretending like he's. I mean, when they shot it without the arms there, it probably looked like he was trying to be Magneto. Like he's like with his arms, he's like trying to pull it away. It's great because like, what else would you do when you physically can't control it? But yeah, this is one of my favorite Spidey gags. Here's your change. People say Spider-Man's not quippy. He's quite quippy in this scene.
Yeah. I have an act for that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, the Spider-Man outfit, it's brilliant in this. I think it's maybe the colour that... It's a little bit pinkish in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, this one, it's just... Oh, boy, this scared the crap out of me as a kid. The notion of
Spider-Man's head's gonna get crushed.
Yeah, just pop like a goddamn grape. Like that scared me. Also, I like how he goes flying out the door.
I love Sam Raimi loves screaming women.
Yes,
and I love the extras in these movies. They're hilarious.
Oh yeah,
go Spidey, go! And there's always just someone in the back going, "Yo, way to go, Spidey!"
Yeah,
brilliant.
It's great. It's very, I would almost say, accurate to New York, to how they would like react to somebody like Spider-Man. Speaking of screaming
this
women,
is also an actress.
Oh, well, is it?
Yeah, she plays Mona in Friends.
Oh my gosh, it is too. Yeah, look at her, just
yeah.
like right into the camera. That's great.
I think she's in Zoolander.
Okay.
But I'm not certain. It might be a different actress. I feel bad for forgetting her name.
Yeah, we're really bad at remembering actors' names in this commentary.
I like that there's more action scenes that take place in daytime in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just so well done. I mean, Stanley.
Hey, Stan, yeah.
Back when Stan didn't have to have a, 5 lines in his cameo.
What do you think of Tony Stank? What did you think of that cameo?
It's kind of funny.
I thought Don Cheadle tried real hard to make it work, but
I officially decided that I'm just not into Don Cheadle as War Machine.
Oh, really?
I really like Terrence Stamp, actually. Not Terrence Stamp, that's bloody Zod.
Terrence Howard?
Terrence Howard. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like him in Iron Man 3, which is a movie I don't really like overall. But I just... It's not really a spoiler. He doesn't die in Civil War. No. And I don't think anyone would really have missed him had he died. Or I wouldn't have. No offense, Don.
I'm the opposite.
The character, not the
actor. I like Terrence Howard as an actor. I prefer Don Cheadle as Rhodey. But,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyway. I like how many a lot of practical stuff is incorporated into this. I like how Spidey kind of pushes back this little wheel thing. And they obviously shot that.
Yeah.
So it's just that attention to detail. Like, he's going to be stepping back.
Yeah.
Keep in mind of their surroundings, and Rosemary Harris gets to do an action moment, which is cool. And I like great, how there's a little bit of at the beginning she says, the less we hear about Spider-Man, the better, and then she learns to appreciate him.
Yeah. Which, once again, is a comic book thing,
Oh, definitely. And her, I think she's just perfect in this movie. And I like that the police are keeping tabs on this whole fight. They don't just forget about it, and the second they've got a clear shot, they go for it.
And it's also the reminder that he got away with the money. It's how he can afford the stuff later. I loved that shot earlier as well. Like, just That's probably filmed at the waist of those ladies that come
Yeah.
running in a second. That was just underneath the boob.
Rosemary Harris fought to be in that shot where he sends her off. This is a brilliant shot.
Oh yeah, this is iconic. This.
Yeah, well, it's this little pose he does.
And there, yeah.
That was on all the promotional like wallpapers and stuff, billboards and such.
Well, that was a trailer moment as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I remember the trailer being. Every single thing about this scene I find hilarious. That he can never grab a drink or any little snack thing to bite, but then by the time he finally does get the drink, there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
Then his friend slaps him around. Then he finds out Mary Jane doesn't want to know him anymore. And then he finds out that she's getting married. It's just whatever we can throw at him.
Oh yeah, it just keeps going and going and going. Like hard times.
Yeah.
That is this the Peter Parker story. This scene, it's things just keep getting worse.
Yeah.
I also like how Franco or Harry calls him the Bug. I've always just liked that.
I really wanted Hobgoblin for Spider-Man 3. I wanted him to take on Hobgoblin, but they didn't go in that way.
I would have. I mean, I would have preferred that to, what can we say that hasn't already been said about the snowboarding suit? Yeah. But,
well, I mean, you could just literally have spray painted the Green Goblin mask yellow and put on a hood.
Yeah.
Done. There you go. I was drawing that when I was younger and anticipating Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
I think this woman's pretty forward with her. The delicious.
Oh, yeah. This this freaking cougar just like, oh, it's so delicious. And also I love the laugh of approval that the Jamesons give when she says football on the moon. And look at him clapping. Oh, he's so proud of his son.
He's brilliant in these scenes. They don't really link. It's always in the background, but he's always on it.
And the woman standing between Peter and JJ, is
the actress, isn't it?
The actress that's in the play with Mary Jane.
Mm.
How does that happen?
Well, you were saying, didn't you, that there's an extra scene of them?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that shot. Just it's an Edgar Wright type thing that Sam Raimi does. Just things popping into frame is always funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, go on. We were talking about Mary Jane's actress friend.
Oh yeah, her friend that's in the play. There's an extended scene where it's basically, I think it's the scene that was meant for the female audience, where she's talking about, like, she and MJ are trying on shoes in a store, and she says, "Do you really love your fiancé?" And MJ goes, "Very much," or something like that. She's like, "That's not the answer you're meant to give. It's, I can't live without it." Like, and just, it just goes on and on. I mean, she does a fine job, but it's that scene that's just like, oh god.
Yeah.
That was not necessary.
Another thing about Mary Jane, as much as I understand the decisions she makes, and I like Kirsten Dunst, even if it's not necessarily the Mary Jane that I'm familiar with, I think it's the fact that she's completely... her character is dictated by her love life. You couldn't really say what her characteristics were outside of... particularly in this movie, more so in the first, but in this movie... I don't think you could really nail down any kind of characteristic outside of, she is either with one man or the other.
Yeah.
Well, she's an actress, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
She does have that, that is the common, that's the plot for her as well as her, quest to be an actress as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that sad umbrella as well, that falls out of the cup. It's funny, I wish I liked MJ more in the films. I like her in the first film quite a bit. I like
her in the first film as well.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I just think that there's a bit of an inconsistency with her character in this film.
Yeah. She's good in the first one. She's slightly inconsistent, but I can still roll with her in this one. By the time number 3 comes around, she's full on cunt.
Jesus. Yeah, she is. She's she's not fair on Peter.
Yeah. I love when it just when it cut from the shot of the two guys playing.
Yeah.
It's just Toby Maguire looks like he's done.
Yeah.
And then his friend comes over and slaps him about.
And slaps the shit out of him, yeah. And then just 1-2 punch. Oh, man.
Yeah. And then take the pic. Parker, shoot the picture.
Yeah. Just look at that face. My life sucks. Yeah. I love JJ. Oh, it's so good. Wake up!
They're gonna have to really outdo themselves to get a better casting than that.
It's funny. I have a theory. It's like, I mean, I would be happy if they brought back JK. I don't care if it's Commissioner Gordon. He can be in both. Who really cares? You know, it's not like filming. It's not like Gordon in the Justice League movie and JJ in the Spider-Man movie are going to take up such a gigantic amount of time. I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
But you know, it would be funny if it was Gary Oldman. just trade.
I watched Cop Car recently, and which is the John Watts indie film that he did. John Watts being the new director of Spider-Man: Homecoming, and I wonder if maybe Kevin Bacon could do a JJ, but I don't know if that's perfect. But
yeah, because I saw you post.
I don't know if I'm only saying it because I saw him in a blooming moustache, and I mean, let's face it, we were all saying anyone could be Doctor Strange if they had a moustache a couple years ago, but you know, who knows? Maybe because Kevin Bacon has that very sarcastic thing going on. One thing that I like about just recently it went of Spider-Man web slinging is that it was a close up.
Oh, I love that shot.
And we were just spending time with Spider-Man swinging and thinking, because that's something he always used to do in the comics. He'd just go for a swing and think about things.
Yeah.
And it's just Sam Raimi just understands where to put the camera and, you know, what you're telling the audience when you choose how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the shot almost looks slow motion, but it's not. He's just kind of, you know, just with his thoughts, and I love it. I also love how Doc Ock uses his tentacles to light a cigar.
Yeah.
It's great.
I want to see the scene where he walks into, or he calls up and gets all of these all this stuff ordered. There is a thing you can point out. Why doesn't he just go steal the actual equipment and cut out the middleman? But
that's
true. You wouldn't get the great fight scene, so we let it slide. So we touched on it a second ago. So what do you think about this plot about Peter losing his powers? Because I like it.
I'm not a huge fan. I think it's kind of weird for his powers to decide that he's not worthy. But you know, whether it's a psychological thing or not, it's interesting because I don't exactly know what he learns. He learns that he's being selfish in wanting to have a life, but at the end of the film, he decides to also have a life. So I don't quite know what the lesson we're meant to learn is.
Well, the way I see it is that he starts the movie being Spider-Man, not accepting the fact that he can't be with Mary Jane, so he's still sort of trying there, and that is an inconsistency with the first film because he kind of has to learn that lesson twice.
Yeah.
But you know, his life sucks. I can understand how you would make that decision, and then the more you're being Spider-Man, the more your life is shit. You know, you would kind of revert. But I think the idea is, you know, eventually, because he just cannot get over Mary Jane and this, you know, and all other things outside of Mary Jane, he wants to do well in life, and his heart really isn't in Spider-Man. So I don't think it's that his powers are deciding. I think it's that his body. I think it's a heart thing. I mean, you do have to suspend your disbelief. We are talking about a movie where a guy shoots out webs from his hands, but you know, he's being Spider-Man out of guilt, and I think by the end of the movie, he doesn't do it out of guilt. He does it out of a calling to do something better. And you know, he may say responsibility all the time, but really, the bigger driving force for him is a guilt that he can't shake off. Which I think is really perfectly illustrated with this scene here. But I mean, we'll talk about it when the scene comes, but I think the point of the scene when him and Mary Jane are in the cafe is that when he finally says, "I don't love you," that's when his powers come back, and it's as if he's made that's when he's really made the conscious choice to give up his dreams and carry on being Spider-Man. I think it works really well, but I understand it. It's one I've had to understand from rewatches. I've had to watch it a few times to get that.
because like I was saying, my problem is that he and Mary Jane do end up together at the end. So
Well, I mean, she makes the decision for herself, and in a way, there's nothing he can do about it.
I guess that's true. Yeah. My problem,
but it was never going to work had she not known he was Spider-Man.
Sure. That's a good way to do it. Yeah, that's a good way to. Yeah, I agree with that. It's funny because to me, like the notion of his powers no longer working. I mean, it affects his eyes. You know, like he's got to wear glasses. Like there's so much along with it. Where to me, it's got to be more than like his heart isn't in it, because it literally affects what he can do and how he lives his life.
It does. It is that moment that dictates the choice.
Yeah.
But it obviously wants to do it. And I also think had they done it, because I've heard some people argue that Maguire's a good enough actor, he could have sold it where they didn't have to make him lose his powers and he could have just given up being Spider-Man. While I agree with that, you wouldn't have had the scene where he rescues the girl from the burning building, which I think is a fantastic sequence.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's a moment that I like, but I understand that other people don't. But at the same time, when it contrives such great moments and good character building, I think it's excusable.
Sure.
It's like when someone argues, well, how did Tony Stark know that Spider-Man was Peter Parker? It's like, who gives a fuck? It's not important.
To me, like with that, it's like, well, he's this teenager that thinks that's trying to be a superhero. Of course, somebody like Tony Stark, running the Avengers would be able to figure that out. Like, why wouldn't he?
But even at that point, it's like, who cares? It's not important. It has nothing to do with what's happening in the film.
Yeah. It's funny to me, that shot just earlier where he's walking in slow motion, you can see all these people in the background just staring at him. Like, it's clear they're just shooting it in New York and they can't do anything about the people around.
Maguire's great in this sequence as well. I love this whole montage.
Just take a big bite of the hot dog. Yep. Who gives a shit? Just walk away. Yeah, good on you.
I put this song on my MP3 recently. MP3. On my phone.
On your MP3 player? Yeah.
See, it's interesting. In this one, they all seem to be filled with, the class that he's in seems to be filled with
older people,
adults.
Yeah.
But in the third one, you've got people shooting spitballs at him or throwing paper at him or something. And it's
yeah.
How old are you?
And what do you think of his freeze here?
Oh, I love it. It's in case you didn't realise we were being cheesy.
I love it too. But I know some people hate it, but I love it.
I love how, I don't think we've ever really got a superhero movie that is as shamelessly optimistic and just kind of lovely as the Raimi movies. I like the Marvel films and I love their constant, they always know to have fun and to be lighthearted, but I think few of them have quite grasped that emotional core that these got. I mean, I love the first Iron Man. I think that has a really strong character and emotional weight behind it, which is why it's a bit of a shame that Tony Stark kind of lost that until Civil War, and he kind of gets that characteristic back, that more serious thing. And the Captain America movies are also really great, but I don't know, the heart that these films have, I wonder if we've ever quite managed to come back, find another movie that quite had the same kind of heart as these.
I would argue that maybe the Captain America films have that same heart, but yeah, I understand what you mean, though. It's interesting because so many other superhero movies don't have a character that is so optimistic and, it has the same sort of values as Peter Parker. The only other character, funny enough, is Captain America, because he's, he goes through this similar process as Peter does in terms of how he gets his powers and things like that. And deals with being a celebrity when he's, this kid who's come from nothing, and has been given this great power. So, funny enough, I think the Captain America films do, but I wonder if I'm projecting the values of the character onto the film. But there's no other superhero movie that sort of has a character like that apart from Cap, to me.
And that's why Cap was. I think Cap is still my favourite character in the cinematic universe, because I feel as if studios always shy away from doing the pure-hearted good guy these days, and I really think it's an immature idea that they all have to be brooding and dark and cool. I mean, that's what they've done with Superman. I'm really not for it. I'm not going to start talking about Batman v Superman, God forbid. But we don't have it with Cyclops as of yet. That might change in a couple of days when we see X-Men.
Yeah, I think that could change. I think, that
would be nice.
All signs lead to that, but it's interesting as well because Superman's a great example of a character who should be like that, but isn't. And I think Henry Cavill's fantastic, but
he's got the potential. They just need to give him the right words to say.
Yeah.
Or words to say at all. Hey.
Yeah. I don't know if this is true or not. I saw a stat that said that
Spider-Man had more lines in
is that
Civil
true?
War.
That
I don't
can't
know,
be
but I'm
true.
inclined to believe it.
Oh, man. That is sad.
I gotta say, I find his suit... it's missing the gloves. Or no, it's not missing the gloves, but the suit looks incredibly... That must be really difficult to get into.
It looks like it could fit it. It looks like it's for a child. I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it went in the wash and it got shrunk or something.
He accidentally shrunk it. That's why I threw it out. It couldn't fit in it anymore. It was a spare.
Cool. If I got $100 for that costume, I'd slap that guy around the face.
I can get more than that on eBay.
Yeah, more than that. Fucking hell.
I love it because I remember at the time thinking like, oh wow, eBay, like because that was such a not that it was new in 2004, but it was still kind of one of those new-ish things. I know eBay's been around since the 90s, but it was still sort of that thing that everybody. It was still kind of a newish thing. Today, it's like I don't even know if somebody would say that. Like I could sell it on eBay. I feel like maybe someone would. I feel like maybe
I could sell that on MySpace.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Craig's. What's it called?
Craigslist.
Craigslist. Yeah, maybe that would be the equivalent. I don't know if
Gumtree is a thing in the rest of the world, but Gumtree is I don't know, for us, the British.
Same here.
It's literally.
Yeah, Gumtree's big here.
You got a couch? Gumtree.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was a point when we were getting a new flat in my university town, and for ages we thought we were going to have to get an unfurnished place, and for a long time we were going to just get everything from Gumtree.
Yeah.
Because you can get everything on Gumtree. Literally everyone just wants to get rid of stuff on there.
I know, right? Like, I haven't personally bought stuff, but, like, my younger brother's got an actual, like, a wonderful cabinet from Gumtree. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know if I guess America probably doesn't have Gumtree, but I guess us Commonwealth people do.
I think the house that they live in is perfect.
Yes.
I don't know, it's always been the house that I would imagine Peter Parker, or at least Aunt May to have lived in. And the house appears fairly similar in Amazing Spider-Man. I'm interested to see if they actually do anything with Peter's room in that flat of his in Civil War, because it's very bland looking. It
is quite bland looking, but it really gave off the impression he had no money.
Yeah, I love that. I love this entire sequence, and I on one of the documentaries, the editor talks about how he chose to, for the most part, just not cut away from Tobey's performance because it was so good.
Yeah, I remember listening to Raimi talk about that, I think in the commentary. Like, they cut away once to Aunt May. Like, literally once he starts his spiel. Yeah, this scene's actually quite heartbreaking. It's
the moment when it cuts back to Rosemary Harris and it pans up at her face.
Yeah,
that woman can break your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. She gives the perfect look. Yeah, it's just one of those moments where, acting wise, I'm just like spot on. But like, just as someone like sucked into the movie, it's just you feel for these characters.
Yeah. And
you feel for Peter as well. He's trying to, summon up the courage to do this, and it's
clear. I mean, you can read the guilt on his face. He's
Yeah.
ashamed. He is blimmin' ashamed.
Like
and it's the whole reason he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, he can hardly look at her.
Yeah.
He's finally got the courage to look at her now. Like, it's an incredibly well done scene.
And then he almost looks for reconciliation, or he looks for some contact, but she does not give it to him.
Yeah,
she's appalled. And we actually didn't talk about what's his face? I've forgotten his name. That's really bad. The man who played Uncle Ben.
Cliff Robertson.
Cliff Robertson, thank you. He was.
Like,
I watched him in Escape from LA recently, actually. And I
Oh,
thought,
really?
It's Uncle Ben.
I saw him in what is the movie called? I think it's called Star 66. He plays Hugh
Right.
Hefner. It's, fantastic. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Perfect Aunt May, perfect Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
They nailed it.
Yeah, they really did. They I think we probably talked about this in the first commentary as well, but they felt like a couple. Like this couple that's been together forever.
Well, I like how long they hold on this shot.
Yeah.
Not certain about the cut though. It's a bit jarring.
Yeah, they cut immediately to a. Yeah, it's like
to a man with 8 limbs. Yeah. I think you could tell me if I'm making stuff up, but I feel as if these were the days when actors took superhero movies more seriously. I'm not sure if it shows in performance, but you get the sense that they are more interested in making a good movie than in this is from the comics and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't care that Toby Maguire wasn't familiar with comics before this movie came out.
Oh, I could care less. Yeah,
I don't care what anyone's background is, really. I can't stand. I actually saw, I think it was on Collider video or something. Or John Schnepp made the argument that Andrew Garfield was better because he liked Spider-Man before the movie, which I thought was fucking ridiculous.
I 100% disagree. Yeah.
And I like the man for making The Death of Superman, so that kind of pissed me off.
Great documentary. Yeah.
But these are actors doing really good jobs. They're putting their all into it, and I just feel a bit like maybe some of the I don't know if it's there must be something that is missing now when you sign up and you're going to be doing 7 films.
Yeah,
or you're signing yourself up for a series, and there's all this fan pressure. And back in these days, it was just to bring characters to life for an audience that really weren't familiar with them.
It's funny, I saw a quote recently where Hugh Jackman had said that Bryan Singer told the cast of X-Men not to go and read comics and to focus on what was in the script. And people see that and they go, oh, that explains the film, like, Singer doesn't like comics. And it's like, no, they're making a film.
Yeah,
like, people just don't understand that. They see that as it's an insult to the comics.
They want pandering comic references constantly. It doesn't occur to them that they are making a feature film here, and that's the more important part. Does it work in the context of it being a movie?
Yeah.
And on that Bryan Singer subject, he's the only director of the series that gives a shit about the subtext of X-Men.
Exactly.
He cares about what it's about. You can complain about the costumes and stuff, and even I have, but now that we know they're going to get those costumes, but for a while I was thinking, oh god, are those bland armor-looking grey things going to be there? But, it's Bryan Singer, and I know that he's going to look for something more than just simply what's on the surface, and that's really what a director does. They want to be reverent for the material about what is it essentially about. For instance, Spider-Man is about a guy whose life is cocked up by his superhero outings. They get that. What is the X-Men about? The X-Men is about prejudice and racism and those kind of themes, and that's what those movies are primarily about. And I just think that's the more important thing to get right.
Yeah.
For me, personally. In terms of faithfulness, I think that's the more important thing.
Yeah.
What makes it unique? Why does it have a fan base? And then you build on top of that. And
that's not to say that a film that is incredibly comic booky can't be super fun in its own right.
No, not at all. I mean, Avengers was the best cinematic experience I've had in my life.
Sure, yeah, and that that definitely is up there for me as well. I mean, Civil War, in a lot of ways as well. Like,
Oh, definitely.
I could watch that giant...
The moment is just brilliant.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like the entire like airport battle sequence, I could probably watch on a loop and have a pretty great time.
Oh, definitely.
For the rest of my life. But I mean, at the same time, you know, I do look for something else out of these films, and I think that's what the Russos understand. I think that's what Raimi understands, and I think that's what Singer understands. Jon Favreau and, you know, a lot of the filmmakers, you know, like they're making, you know,
They're making films.
Yeah, they're making films.
They are crafting movies out of other material.
Yeah,
and that's why I think things like Hunger Games and Twilight, those kind of teen romance novels, they're very focused on slavishly pandering to their fan bases because they know they've got a big crowd and take risks, man. You know,
like
I like that they changed Zemo considerably.
Yes, same here.
I like that. I like it, even if I'm not really into it. I always admire if someone has the balls to do it. I can't stand Mandarin and Iron Man 3. They had bollocks, man. They really did have bollocks. I wouldn't argue it's a better change, but, you know, to basically turn to the fan base and say, screw you, we think this is better, and we think we've got something interesting here. That's admirable. You gotta give credit where it's due.
It's just funny to me, and I once again don't want to turn this into a fuck Iron Man 3 thing, but like, it's funny to me because like they already made a change with him in making him this like Osama bin Laden type.
Yeah, they already had a great new Mandarin.
They already changed it for the context of this universe, and then they did what they did, and it's just like, wow, okay. And that's where, to me, that film plays it up for comedy too much, to the point where it ruined it to me. And you know,
I completely agree.
Yeah, and with, you know, it's funny, like when you look at, there was that commercial for the DVD of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's like or the Blu-ray or whatever, where it's like, look at all these special features. We point out all the Easter eggs. Like, this is Felicia Hardy, and look at the lightning bolts on Electro's cape.
Come see the next movies.
Yeah, it's just like, oh god, like, what are you making here?
It's absurd to look back at Amazing Spider-Man 2 and you realise, fucking hell, that whole film was an advertisement.
It's a trailer, yeah.
It's a blimmin' trailer. I know I'm going to get flack for it, but I'm so glad that series got canned. I went back and I watched the first Amazing Spider-Man recently because it was on Netflix and I had nothing else to do, so I thought, why not? I don't hate it, but it really doesn't get Peter Parker at all.
No,
and he's a real creep in it, you know, having fucking Gwen Stacy on his computer. Like, stuff.
It's weird.
And I don't like it. Andrew Garfield at least puts in an effort to pretend to be Peter Parker in that first film, and then by the second film he's just dropped it completely. And
like, I think Garfield is a great actor. I loved him.
He is, he's great.
Social Network especially, and I've heard 99 Homes.
I've heard 99 Homes is good.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I nearly watched it on... It's funny, my flight back from Texas recently, these people in front of me were like, oh, so-and-so said to watch 99 Homes on the flight. Apparently it's really good. And I was like, oh, cool, we got that. And I didn't end up watching it, because they had Star Wars. But, it's funny. I like Garfield as an actor. I love Mark Webb's first film, 500 Days of Summer. I think that's a damn perfect movie. And it's just funny that the combination of those guys doing Spidey, not those two together, but just, you know, them adapting Spider-Man or adapting what Sony wanted Spider-Man to be, just didn't work for me. And you know, it didn't work in a very big way because, you know, here we are. They've rebooted it.
Here we are. Yeah. One thing I noticed that I hadn't noticed before with this film is that they really emphasise that kids need Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In this film, they have it with this. I think he's called Henry. They have it with this kid here who's helping out Aunt May with all her stuff. And later on, when Toby's brothers come in and hand him back the mask on the train, they're making a very specific point that, you know, kids need a hero to look up to. And I like that. I also like how I think they're trying to say something here in that now that Aunt May... Because we know that Aunt May was originally blaming herself for the death of Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
and then Peter tells her the truth. Now that she knows that, she can move on and she can move out of the house.
That's a great point. I'd never looked at it like that, but you're right. Yeah. There's no point holding on.
Yeah, and she's perfect in this moment.
And when I
started tearing up last time I watched this. It's a great speech.
I do. It's funny talking about like referencing comics. I do love this line about where are all my comic books? What are those dreadful things? It's great. And just a look in his face of, oh, that's a shame.
All right then.
I was
so
go ahead.
So here's the question: has she figured out that he's Spider-Man?
Yeah, that was what I was about to bring up.
I think it's heavily implied.
Yeah, one of the things that has sort of bothered me about the film is that if she doesn't know, then she thinks that Peter abandoned her at the bank.
Yes.
And that bothers me.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think she'd have given him this massive speech had she not assumed and put two and two together after hearing his story.
Yeah. I agree. But it's done in a way where it's not. I mean, saying it's implied is almost like a stretch. Like to me, implying it means like it's definitely intended. I don't know if it is intended. Yeah. I think it's there, and you can make of it what you will.
Yeah,
I like the fact
it's not quite Robbie looking at him.
Yes, exactly. Or it's not. Aunt May in Amazing Spider-Man 1, where that it's. Not only, I mean, it's more than implied. Like, she's got that look when Spider-Man's on the TV and, Peter storms out. Like, and then at the end, she doesn't question why he's all beat up. It's just, yeah. It's too much to me in that film. And then it's completely dropped by the next one. But I do love this speech. It's great.
Yeah.
And once again, everybody, I don't want to just continuously hate. I feel like I'm kicking a horse while it's down. That's not the saying. I'm beating a dead horse. I'm kicking someone while they're down. I'm kicking a horse.
Kicking a guy in the nuts. Stabbing him senselessly. Strangling him.
But yeah, look, the Amazing franchise is dead. There's no point hating on it. It's dead.
It's dead!
Yeah. But, it's funny when, these first two films are so good. And, I feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel as if Spider-Man 3's badness overshadows the first two in the same respect that Batman and Robin overshadows Batman Forever.
Exactly. I think...
I definitely think these first two are better than Batman Forever, but I am one of the few, and I know you like it as well. We're one of the few that really actually appreciate Batman Forever.
Well, I mean, when you look at Batman Forever, like, Joel Schumacher had this task of making a great Batman film, while also having to make something that was lighter for all the parents that complained about Penguin biting a man's nose off in Returns. And I think it does an excellent job of doing a light-hearted, serious Batman film. I think it's
a really enjoyable Batman film.
Yeah, I think that's a damn near impossible task, and I think he achieved it. And
I don't know about you, but I don't care about camp. If they can make it work, then so. I appreciate camp and cartoonishness. I love when a director is just having complete shameless fun with their material. I really hope that the Spider-Man Homecoming movie is just a Saturday morning cartoon.
That'd be great, yeah.
Because the logo gives off that impression, and
it does.
Fucking definitely. Go for it, by all means.
Yeah. Like I've said, the Homecoming title, until we get some context for it, I'm kind of like, oh, it's an odd title. It's like Batman Returns. Batman didn't go anywhere.
It's incredibly meta, yeah.
Yeah, like Batman Returns. Batman didn't go anywhere. He was in Gotham the whole time. He's returned to the big screen.
Oh, there's gonna have to be a Homecoming moment.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I will say I'm not a fan of this scene.
Yeah, this is the scene where I was talking about with John James. I was like, "Oh, I'm back on the moon," and I'm like, "You vain prick." It's just
I like the moment of her kissing him, but it's a scene between two characters I don't think have any chemistry.
That's interesting. I've never sort of seen it that way. I feel like she tries real hard.
Well, I mean, she may try hard, but it doesn't work if one side isn't on it.
That's true.
I just don't buy that they're together. But the bigger problem is just that we haven't had any moments with them.
This is their only scene together, where they're actually having
we
dialogue.
saw them briefly. We saw them briefly outside her, outside the theater she was acting in, and then we see them just walking around and they get married. But that's really the only sequence we see them in, and that shot is reversed.
It sure is.
Because it's
wow.
affected.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that poster's backwards. Yeah. Oh man, that's great.
So, I want to say something about this scene because I hear a lot of people complain about this.
Yeah,
a lot of people think he gets his powers back conveniently because Mary Jane gets kidnapped. Now, I want to say that he does not. He gets his powers back because he sacrifices his dream of being with Mary Jane, because if you watch the scene, he gets his spider sense, the car comes through the window, he jumps at her, then she gets kidnapped. He's already got his powers back before this happens.
I love the fact that he gets his spider sense when she's leaning in to kiss him. As in it's like, don't do it, Spider-Man. She's got an STD or something like that. Like, the sense is looking out for him.
She has AIDS. Yes, she has AIDS.
John Jameson gave her AIDS. Like,
Space AIDS.
Space AIDS.
But the whole moment where he jumps at her, I remember this was the big thing in the trailer.
Yeah, this was the teaser trailer.
Down. I remember wondering, why is he wearing glasses?
Yes. Oh, yeah. You just brought me back. Yeah, I felt the same thing.
I downloaded the trailer and I must have watched it half a dozen times. I remember because Spider-Man 2 was one of the. You don't find a lot of Spider-Man 1 online stuff.
Yeah.
So I think Spider-Man 2, they really made a push to market it virally.
Yes, and it's funny because there was viral stuff for Spider-Man 1, but it was also, they were making it in 2001. It's not everybody had access to the internet, and by 2003, 2004, a lot more people did. Even in that 2-3 year span. But it's funny to me as well because I remember I got a DVD even before we had a DVD player of all of the trailers for Spider-Man 2. So the teaser, the theatrical, and the other theatrical. It might have just been 2 trailers. I'm pretty sure it was 3. But and like I remember watching this and being like, oh yeah, why is he wearing his glasses? That's weird. And it made it look like the tire drives on Peter's face in the trailer. It doesn't do that in the film. But
amazing shots he gets in this bit.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fucking great.
That's so good.
If someone wrote that in a script, I'd be like, fuck, where do I start with that?
Yeah.
That's the mark of a good director, because if you read something and you just think, fuck, how do I... And then someone turns around and says, right, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know you're in good company.
Yeah.
Yeah, this made for a great trailer.
It did. And just the reveal as well of it being
Doc Ock.
I remember as a kid just being like, oh man, like I always thought like, oh, the next one they should do is Doc Ock, and they did. Great.
Peter Parker, I'm a girlfriend.
He is, he's amazing in this whole movie.
He's
I just
great.
love him in this scene playing just super bad guy.
Yeah.
That smile he gives MJ.
His sunglasses are awesome as well.
Yeah.
And he just takes them off with his tentacles. Oh, that's brilliant.
I'll peel the flesh off her bones. Just, oh, God.
Boom.
Oh, I love this.
Mary Jane could look slightly more concerned for Peter there.
Yes.
She could, like, run over to him or something. I don't know. She just kind of looks like, oh, okay. Like, this is the shot that looks slightly off with CG Alfred Molina.
You're right, yeah.
Because Kirsten Dunst, they actually shot her.
Yeah,
doing that.
she's green screen or whatever.
And that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Another more screaming.
Screaming
Love
people.
it. And this shot here looks a bit iffy. But we are talking about you know, very, very good CGI 10 years ago that, you know, still looks impressive, still mostly holds up. I love that bit.
Yeah, exactly. He just
jumps
super
up.
sane. Oh, it's great. I mean,
And he takes them off, and the music comes in, and it's fucking great.
Yeah, and it's funny, I've seen worse CGI in films that it would have had a, you know, just as big a budget as this film many years later. So, you know, I can't really hate on it too much for that reason. CGI wise.
Go on, Spidey.
Just this look of determination.
Yeah. I love how even when he's doing a look of determination, he just looks like a dweeb. It's perfect. I love it so much. You know, I completely embraced the whole Toby Maguire being an awkward dweeb. I think it's so perfectly married with the character.
Yeah.
And this scene's great.
It is. I love...
I want Spider-Man!
Ted Raimi in this scene as well.
Yeah.
You just keep watching him, like, when he's looking around, like, whoa! It's great.
The outtakes for that are funny as hell.
His fake teeth, yeah.
His fake teeth keep coming out.
I wouldn't have even known he was wearing fake teeth.
No. And this is a great reveal. Boom!
I love that. He's back, masked Menace returns. Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a shot in the teaser as well that I remember thinking was so cool. And you realise it's just a reflection of his glasses.
It's different in the trailer as well.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant!
Yeah.
So, it's... with all due respect to Mark Webb, you know, you just don't have that kind of direction in those amazing movies.
It's, you know, there's far less... I understand what they were trying to do, because Spider-Man was already such a spectacle on screen. How else, like, what can you do that hasn't already been done?
I appreciated that they tried to go for a practical thing.
I agree, yeah.
Because I remember hearing about that and thinking, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, this is CG and it looks fucking great.
Yeah, I love this as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's lucky he did not murder him right there.
I remember after the movie came out, Lego on their website did a Spider-Man 2 train fight film that they did in stop motion. And because the movie hadn't come out, it was the best thing I had, so I watched it constantly.
Yeah.
But it was really great.
And
they really land on that train.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because, like, Doc Ock is just a dude, and Spider-Man is this superpowered guy, and, like, you know, I have heard the argument that that's a great shot there as well, where he lands in the Spidey pose. I've heard the argument that every time Peter punches him, it should probably kill him because he's got a
Spider-Man
version
pulls
of
his
super
punches.
strength.
Yeah, they never really explain it. Spider-Man pulls his punches in the comics, so you could just say that.
Absolutely.
Because Spider-Man doesn't really kill people. Well, he doesn't kill people, full stop.
No, but every time Spider-Man, like, punches somebody, like, you know, if you're using that logic, then yeah, Spider-Man would have killed so many people by now.
Yeah. This shot looks a bit... But it's a great shot.
I mean, you wouldn't... to me, it doesn't look CGI.
I love that moment there, where they're completely aware of gravity.
Yeah.
It's, this whole train sequence, they've never topped this.
They haven't, no.
They have never topped this.
I love the train sequence in Batman Begins, but, I mean, it's funny how there's a lot of train sequences with superhero movies even before this film. But this just...
Right,
This is it.
Here comes my favourite moment when he kind of tiptoes on the buildings here.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Boom, boom, boom.
And
boom!
Yeah.
Fucking great.
It's one of those things where I feel like I'm a total geek being like, I love that shot or whatever, but I mean, it's true.
And that was something they filmed.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's been recreated in Spectacular Spider-Man and things like that, because it's just such an iconic looking thing.
Poor guy being held on by his fucking belt.
Yeah.
This is also extended quite a fair bit in the extended cut. He pushes Spider-Man in front of another train, and Spider-Man keeps going.
Oh yeah,
which is quite cool. And they have a fight sideways on the train, standing up, which looks a bit off, but it's pretty cool.
I'm glad they cut out the thing where he gets hit by the train, because that's just death. Like, He got hit by a moving train. Like, he's dead.
Well, I mean, Spider-Man is super strong.
But it's you're being hit by a train.
Yeah.
Full speed.
You would be squished.
Yeah.
I love this.
Oh, it's great. The spider sense is perfect in these films as well.
I just love the silence here for a bit.
Yeah.
And I there have been worse contrivances for Spider-Man to take off his mask. I think it's really important that he doesn't have a mask on in this moment.
I agree,
And, as much as I'm not a fan of the whole city liking Spider-Man, in Spider-Man 3 or in Amazing Spider-Man 2, it makes more sense with this because, they saw... a lot of this movie is Spider-Man proving to naysayers that he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And the whole train, when they finally see him without his mask on and they say, oh, he's just a kid, he's one of us.
Yeah.
That's a really important moment to have. And it works really well.
I agree. I think there are two really important moments. It's this, and in the first movie, where he saves the kids. Like, you know, that would get around, that he sacrificed himself to save all these children. I
will say that, there, just cut you off there, the windows there, he could have webbed onto a much stronger part of the building.
Well, I actually do love how it's just like keeps on like shooting webs. He realizes like, it's not enough.
Yeah. And he really sells this.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm coughing and all this stuff, people. I'm just coming off the tail end of a cold.
It's that weather.
I went sailing with the father a couple of days ago, and I still cannot feel my upper lip. So salty.
Nice. Yes. Tobey Maguire can pull some faces, I swear.
Yeah. It's when he's gonna run off the building and he's just got this massive nose. Brilliant.
I know I've used this in videos before and that, but
just know he's letting one out.
I think my favourite image of anything ever is the shot that was taken of Tobey while he was jogging in Australia filming Great Gatsby. Yeah. His hair is just, talk about Super Saiyan, like it's all standing up. He's just got this intense look on his face, his eyes are bugging out. That man's got a face.
Do you think the Jesus imagery is a bit on the nose? Do you think they're going for a Jesus thing?
Because
they do very specifically spread his arms out.
Yeah, it's
I don't really know where you'd find the Jesus parallels in Spider-Man.
No. I do love that one dude with the American flag on his leather jacket. That's pretty cool. Probably won't ever see it again, but that's a nice jacket. There he is. For it now.
A lot of baseball caps.
New York. I like the one woman with the baby as well. Like, there was a baby on this train.
Hmm.
I love his reaction. Well, he doesn't say anything. He feels he can't. Like, he feels like his identity's already in like complete danger.
Yeah.
And here come his nephews or brothers or I
think they're his brothers.
Right. They look like him. You can tell they're Maguires.
And that's quite cute that his brothers hand him back the mask.
Yeah, it's great.
I've always wondered, and it's always going to be something they'll never explain, how his mask hangs onto his face so well. Because I think in the Amazing movies they had a zip at the back.
Right.
I'm going to assume they had something similar in this. But his costume is one of those things you just kind of roll with. Boom!
That's great.
Oh, Alfred Molina's so good, and they did a lot of tests with the tentacles to make sure that he, did a good convincing performance.
I love this one dude who's about to come into frame.
Yeah,
there he
always
is.
Funny, always funny.
Yeah,
and Alfred Molina's just so happy.
Yeah, it's like I get to hurt people. Yay!
So, now that you've mentioned it, I'm actually really hoping that woman with the baby is okay now.
Oh shit! Yeah. Well, she was at the other end. She was
Drops the baby out the window.
Oh god. What about those kids? What about Toby's brothers? Just boom.
Oh yeah.
We'll protect you, Spider-Man. Dead.
I love the symbol zoom in transitions that he does.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I love the fear on his face there as well with Harry. He's just like, oh yeah, I've got what I've wanted, but shit, I need to give this crazy man the tritium. Precious tritium.
When he says Oscorp providing it, I didn't actually think Harry just had it hanging around in his house.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Which is kind of a funny thing. Maybe he went and picked it up.
Let's
say that.
I think the inference is he had to get it.
Yeah. Got his dagger ready. I remember, because this was all in the trailers.
It was.
Of him taking off the mask. I remember thinking, oh, they're going to come up with some excuse for him not seeing his true identity. But they went for it.
They did. I remember thinking, yeah, definitely it was going to be something else.
Because why else put it in the trailer?
Yeah. Because it's not like other people have not like dressed up as Spider-Man in the comics and that. So I figured that's what they were going to do. But something that I'll admit kind of bothers me about this. Peter's like wrapped in barbed wire here.
Yeah, well, it kind of looks like
boom. Just okay. That's how barbed wire works.
I mean, I don't really know. The inference being he was asleep, and then he woke up. I think.
I guess it's just like he tears through that barbed wire like it's,
Well, I mean, I think it's the idea is that he got wrapped up in it, then he woke up and he was like, "Oh, what's this barbed wire? Fuck that."
It's just funny to me. It's like it's not that easy to break. It's just funny to me. It's just like boom, I'm alive.
Well, Spider-Man's as strong as the writers need him to be.
Yeah.
It's like Wolverine. He's as good at healing as the writers need him to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
I will say that as much as I like this moment where Peter says, we don't have time to have this conversation right now. Could maybe just have thrown in, I didn't kill your father, now tell me where she went.
I agree. I feel like he definitely had some time. That's always something that I've thought.
There's no excuse by the time 3 comes around.
When he says, there's bigger things happening here than me and you, it makes you think, like, if you hadn't seen the first film, you would have thought that Peter definitely killed his father.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how they did that moment.
I love the smile he gives here when he realises Spider-Man's hanging about.
I like
and this is a great shot.
Yeah, this silhouette.
Great reveal. Oh god, he's so great.
Yeah, I
fucking love it.
He's villain. Is that like having fun being a bad guy without it being too on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. This is the first fight scene in the movie that's actually taking place at night.
Yeah, that seems to be the requirement these days.
Yeah, well,
it has to be a dark scene. Civil War was one of the few that didn't take place at night.
Yeah, well, that and the scenes in Winter Soldier are all during the day as well, pretty much.
Iron Man 3 takes place at night, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight.
Funny enough, Dark Knight Rises does not. But, Batman I give a pass to because he's only out at night.
Because he is a dark character.
He is the night. But yeah, it's...
I would have webbed onto something a little more promising than the rope. If he missed that...
Oh, yeah.
Hell.
Oh, he's
bye-bye, Mary Jane.
He's Spider-Man, I guess. He knew.
Yeah.
I love that. Just bang.
Yeah. And I like Spider-Man's pretty clever in this moment.
Yeah.
When he webs onto the wires and makes Ock stab him himself. And it's good that Mary Jane eventually got some bollocks. It's quite funny how Alfred Molina just carelessly, fuck off.
Oh, yeah. She's just nothing done. That's something I don't like in a lot of films where It's like the love interest like gets the better of the villain. It's like, oh god, I mean, you know, and I don't. I'm sure people will accuse me of being sexist for saying that, but what I mean is that like this is Dr. Octopus. He's got these tentacles that he built that are super evil.
That can see everything.
Yeah, exactly. They're able to see anything. They're able to sense when Spidey was there earlier. Like if she managed to get the better of him there, it would have been a complete joke. Like, yeah, I just love this. All these cars suddenly, like, yeah. We get the Peter Parker, brilliant but lazy. I love that moment. But I guess
I love that they settle the dispute through just talking to each other and appealing to the humanity in both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've said it in other videos, but the reason watching Ock and Spider-Man fight is so much fun is because they don't contrive some bullshit drama between the two.
Yeah.
No personal pettiness or anything like that. It's just fun to watch them fight. That's what it should be with all of them.
And it is annoying that Doc Ock misquotes himself here when he says a privilege.
Yeah.
He says it's not a privilege earlier.
Damn it, Geekvolution.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been brought up by so many people, and I do agree, that is a giant problem, and I can't believe nobody picked up on it. But, like, in the making of the film, even Alfred Molina, how did he not see that? But, you know, I'm also not going to blame him, because how many other things do you have your mind on?
I think the performances are great here, though. And I love the music.
Yeah.
When he says it's my dream.
And I like how he uses, you know, both Doc Ock's own quotes from earlier in the film as well as Aunt May's. I think that's pretty wonderful.
Yeah. I love how angry he gets here.
Now.
That teeth action.
Yeah, I know, right? And he's in control. It's kind of sad that he has to bite the dust in a second, because it's like, oh man, Doc Ock could have been a force for good.
Yeah. Well, they were planning to do that with Sandman for Spider-Man 4.
Yeah. It's
I don't know how that would have played.
I sort of feel like that might have been abandoned in the end, because of the super positive reaction to the Sandman.
Yeah. I love how he just, like, pisses all over him.
Like, Tobey blinks like 5 times, like he's got water poured all over him.
This shot's slightly weird, the close-up of Tobey, because his body's at an angle. It looks like it might have been mirrored.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, he's not even standing at that angle when they go to that shot.
I've always found it a bit weird.
This moment is... I actually really like it.
Yeah.
I think her acting here of just like but she's happy, and his
Kirsten
reaction
Dunst is a very good actress.
She is, yeah.
I love this scream, the face.
Oh man!
Oh, brilliant! He's going to eat the audience.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man lines as well. This is really heavy.
Yeah, I think the
she's
Spider-Man
doing Jack right now.
Yeah.
Like, you could move... Oh, actually, you know what? She's trapped. Never mind. I was going to say she could run away.
She is. She's just going to lie there. Yeah. So how you doing?
Yeah.
But, what was I going to say? Can't remember. There's a CG Alfred Molina.
It was, yeah. And there's a lot of metal in this building that... probably should have flown into that thing before those cars were moving earlier.
I will say that shot just then of the wide shot of them two, the colour looks slightly off, but you know, just nitpicking. It's a fucking great film, and we're just like, oh, the colour's kind of off, I guess.
I feel like we've spent so much time just being like, oh, I love this shot, I love this moment, and things like that. So, I mean, I think we're allowed a few nitpicks, but, I mean, look, yeah, as you said, we love this film, you know.
There is a moment in a sec when he webs off of this. And he webs onto something.
Nothing.
Yeah.
What did he
webs
web
onto
to?
the sky.
Yeah. The moon! Like, look at that.
Yeah.
There are
What
no
do you think?
buildings there.
This shot works pretty well.
Oh, I love it. I love his sunglasses here as well.
Yeah.
There's something about that I love.
They spent an awful lot of time trying to get that shot right.
Yeah.
Because they actually photographed his face and all that.
Right.
This is cool. Although you can kind of see the actual wires underneath inside the web in the close-ups, but that's cool. It's Spider-Man. Spider-Man made a web. That's cool.
That is funny because that did come out of his body.
Yeah.
Like all of that.
Maybe they did something.
Mary Jane
beforehand.
should be like, "Oh God, no, I can't be with you. This is fucking weird."
Hope it's not wet.
It's just gooey, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you look at it up close, it looks like that thing that, you know, like those wiry things that you get in action figures to hold them in place.
Yeah. That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah. Which I won't lie, I have used as web for some of my action figures. That's where I got the idea. It was from this. It just always looked like that to me. Because this next part makes me laugh as well. Like, she's holding onto this web that is consistently coming out of his wrist.
Of his wrist, yeah.
Just like, ew.
I can imagine that would feel weird, someone tugging on that.
Yeah. Oh, God. It's right next to his wrist veins. Like, yeah. That is the thing about actually giving him organic webs.
Yeah.
It's a little on the gross side. See, this is the scene where I start feeling sympathy for John in the next scene.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at how desperate he is to get to her.
Yeah.
Like, even JJ is in this scene.
Is he?
Yeah. We're about to see him. There he is. Oh, hold on. There he is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never noticed that before.
I know, right? I noticed it, you know, on maybe like my 100th viewing, you know, over the years. Like,
I love the music in this bit.
Yeah. I love that pose. Once again, we're just going, I love this. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
fucking good movie. We're allowed to do what we want.
Once again, webs onto something.
Yep.
Although I guess they're at some structures now, so it's
I remember on
the
the video game, he just webbed to the sky. Not to the second one, the first one.
Right.
The second one, the second one had awesome web swinging. And this is great, because if you weren't already sold on the movie, Willem Dafoe, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, my man.
Fucking God. I remember being in the cinema and hearing the laughs, and I turned to myself like, it's the Great Goblin!
Yeah.
Oh, I was so excited.
Yeah, same here.
So, here's the question. Do ghosts exist in this universe?
That's a great question, because...
Is it Harry's emotion? Is it Harry's psyche, or is it a ghost thing?
So here's a theory that I've had. In the first film, he hears Norman laughing in that one scene.
Yes.
And it's like, is this in the back of his mind that this could have been... Because, like, for this scene, like, the way it happens is he does this and he immediately discovers Green Goblin. Like, all that stuff. So... was this in the back of his mind, and it's his subconscious being like, you know, like trying to make him understand that there's something more to this?
Yeah.
Has like the realization of Peter being Spider-Man driven him to this?
Yeah.
That's what I choose to believe, but I also can understand if people think that crazy ghosts exist as well.
Well, I mean, the door opens.
Yeah. Like, that is super
and
convenient.
He hasn't actually gone crazy yet, presumably, because he hasn't taken the gas, even though the gas doesn't actually make him crazy in Spider-Man 3, which it technically should.
Yes.
I love this whole... Like, the Harry Osborn is just so flawlessly developed in this, in the sense that he almost kind of doesn't develop, he refuses to change.
Yeah.
But my one criticism is that if I found out my dad was the Green Goblin, the guy who, attacked me at the parade, maybe I'd be able to put 2 and 2 together as to why Spider-Man had to kill him.
That's a good point. I mean, he was totally gonna kill Mary Jane and turn all those people into skeletons. So that's a good point. But I guess at this
the
point,
second one and thinking that was going to be paid off. But I can accept that he's just pissed off and whatever. He doesn't want to listen to reason.
He feels so betrayed by Peter. All this time, like he felt like he just wasn't telling him Spider-Man's identity out of loyalty. Instead, he was doing it out of selfishness. He didn't tell his best friend his biggest secret. So I kind of understand his motivation here, not knowing where Spider-Man 3 goes to, but in the context of this film alone, I can sort of understand it. He's also got the green bow tie in this scene, which I think is great.
Call Deborah. Tell her not to open the caviar.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? You're right. They should just fucking bring JK back.
I know, right?
Who cares if he's Gordon?
Oh, like this shot coming up.
Just... Yeah. Again, another example of something popping into frame, being funny.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's very Edgar Wright-esque.
Yeah.
Oh, so here's this woman again.
Yeah. I think maybe I don't know. Again, on Mary Jane, just them having to tweak a couple things. Maybe if we just saw them, like a silhouette of them talking and her putting him down, as opposed to just letting him get embarrassed at the altar.
Yeah.
But such a great joke here. And his wife just looks at him like, oh,
your son's heart just got broken in front of all these people and you're worried about the caviar.
I feel like they wanted these birds to fly off, but they just keep standing there.
Yeah. And there's that one man that looks like Thomas Jane. Everyone thought it was the Punisher cameo.
She looks great in that dress. I want to know what Peter Parker does in his spare time. Did he just always stare out the window?
I know, right? He's just waiting for crimes.
Yeah. The awkward moment when she arrived and he was dick in hand.
He's got that... I mean, we talked earlier about how it's creepy that Garfield has the Gwen Stacy image on his desktop. But, I mean, Peter does have that image of Mary Jane on his desk. See right there.
Yeah.
And
well, they are friends.
It's gigantic. And he's also got those pictures of her on his mirror, where she's doing the see no evil, hear no evil. Like, yeah. I mean, I guess that's a little on the...
Well, she does call him her best friend.
That is true.
In his Amazing Spider-Man, they haven't even met each other.
That's true. You know what? Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Maybe he's got one of Harry at the mirror as well. Doing the same thing.
Where's this picture of Harry?
Tell you what, every single time I type in Captain America and Iron Man on Google Images to get pictures for the Civil War review, there was always one really creepy fan fiction image of them kissing.
Oh, really?
Bizarre.
Like some
absolutely
Rule 34
bizarre
stuff.
Yeah.
Nice. Man, you'd think she's Rogue or something, the way his face immediately changes.
His face drops, yeah.
Like, oh.
Oh, God. I just love his reaction.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, they're going to bang tonight, aren't they? Fuck it.
Oh, just they eat each other's
I love the way
here.
they proper just...
Oh, yeah. You're going for it.
It's funny, if you ever listen to a radio drama and two people kiss, because you can't see it, they have to be like... It's not great.
They're just actually eating like yogurt or something. I love that she called him Tiger. It's one of those cool. Spider-Man things that that really paid off. It was great.
This shot gets reused at the beginning of Spider-Man 3.
Oh, man, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I always thought that, but I never actually stopped and checked.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the same. They obviously different color because it takes place at a different time of the day, but
Yeah.
definitely the same shot.
That
As much as I don't think this closing web sequence is as good as the first one,
No.
how would you outdo the first one?
Oh, exactly. I like the fact that it ends on MJ as well. It's like,
Yeah.
she's made this decision. Now but it makes you sort of think, ooh, did she make the right decision? Like, she's not like got this giant smile on her face. It's sort of ambiguous,
Yeah.
which I like.
Spider-Man 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Wouldn't it have been great if she pulled off her face and it was Chameleon? Just, yeah, I would have preferred
I'm looking
that.
forward to seeing how they try and do Chameleon on screen.
Yeah. And for the record, Joel McHale was the name of the actor from Community from earlier.
Ah.
Just saw his name in the credits. So, yeah.
And this is the part where Nick Fury recruits Toby Maguire into the Avengers.
So the after credit scene of Civil War, I mean, it's not really a spoiler. He gets the big Spidey signal from the early comics.
Yep.
Did you like that as much as I did?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's nothing major, but
No.
I knew what it was, and I knew that anyone that didn't know Spider-Man wouldn't know what the hell it was.
Yeah.
But I thought, oh, cool, because that's one thing they haven't done in the films just yet.
Exactly, because I popped hard for it, and then when I saw it, you know, the two times that I've seen it so far, the people that did stay behind, which was not a lot, ironically. It's like you'd think people would know with these films by now, but that was a large groan when it wasn't something with Thanos or whatever, I guess. But
oh, really? Oh,
yeah, but to me, the after-credit scenes, like the mid-credit scenes are always something leading to the next film, but the after-credit scenes, when you look at them, it's either the Avengers eating shawarma, or
it's usually a joke, yeah.
Yeah, or Howard
Bruce
the
Banner.
Duck, Bruce Banner, Thor coming back to Earth. Like it's never anything major.
Oh yeah, the Thor one's crap.
But
I like that you get another moment with Peter Parker and Aunt May. I can't say fit Aunt May is something I've ever wanted.
No.
But I'm hoping it's for a reason. Maybe to flash back to a younger Uncle Ben who could maybe be played by a Mr. Maguire, but that's wishful thinking.
Don't plant that in my head. I'll be disappointed with whoever they get.
That's definitely wishful thinking.
Is it my birthday? Yeah. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, it holds up, and you know, for a long time this was the best comic book movie to a lot of people. When, you know, before Dark Knight, when you asked people what's the best comic book movie or what's the best superhero movie, this was it. So,
and I definitely think this is still one of the greats, one of the best ones.
Yeah, I agree. It's
got a life of its own. It's not as if, like, tonally, I mean, you can look to the best comic book movie in terms of, you know, technically which is the best movie and stuff like that, but I mean, you can't really compare a movie like Spider-Man 2 to The Dark Knight. They're completely different films.
Exactly.
But I just
they have
think
two different goals.
Yeah, and for what it's going for, the goals that it sets itself, it hits it dead on. They've nailed it.
And you know, it's funny because I've always said Spider-Man 1 is my favorite Spider-Man movie, but that's not to say that I don't think Spider-Man 2 is a better film. It's just you know, as a part of it's as a fan or whatever, like I get so much out of Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
And you know,
Spider-Man 1 is, I think, it's I don't know if it's better than Batman Begins as being the greatest origin superhero movie they've done, but it hangs together so well.
Yeah.
And it is so faithful to the original origin as well.
It is,
whilst doing new and different things. It's just a great coming of age story, as is this. And I think both Spider-Man 1 and 2 really complement each other.
I agree.
And this is the Michael Bublé rendition of the Spider-Man theme, which I used to own.
This is just weird. It's weird. Like,
it is, yeah.
Why did he make this? I remember like watching for the Australians out there watching Rage on ABC, on a Saturday or Sunday morning, whatever it was, and it would do the countdown of the charts, and it would show all the music videos. And when this came on, I was like, "There's no shots from the movie. He just made this." And I was like, "Yeah, I've never quite understood it. I like it. I mean, I think it's catchy as hell, but yeah, I've never understood. I mean, there's some good songs that were made for this film, like the that Vindicated song that played earlier was good. I like the Ordinary song by Train. I like I Am by Killing Heidi, which did not appear in the film but was on the soundtrack, and had a music video with stuff from Spider-Man 2, but it was never in the movie.
It's funny, I hadn't ever heard Kiss on a Grey by Seal, and until last year while I was in Spain, and my partner said to me, "Oh, it's from Batman." I went, "What?" And it is. It plays at the end of Batman Forever. I thought,
"Oh yeah,
man, that doesn't fit at all."
It's funny. "Kiss from a Rose" is like one of my favorite songs. Like I'll put this out there on the internet now. Hopefully,
it's a brilliant song. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, nothing bad ever happens. Well, hopefully my death does not come soon. But that's the song that I want played at my funeral. "Kiss from a Rose," baby. It's. I would always watch Batman Forever right to the end of the VHS. So
yeah.
But it was funny to me. The U2 song, the Hold Me, Kiss Me, Thrill Me, whatever it's called. To me, that was the Dick Grayson song, and "Kiss from a Rose" was the Bruce Wayne song. As a kid, that's how it worked for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. That was Spider-Man 2. I'd say we should do Spider-Man 3 sometime soon. We will try and do it sooner, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's summertime, so I'm sure we can find a way to fit it in soon. And I guess by the time we've done 3, people are going to be like, "Well, now you have to finish it."
Oh man.
And we'll have to do the others. Spider-Man 3, I don't think will be as fun, but we'll try and make it as enjoyable.
I have a lot of fun with Spider-Man 3. It's certainly not a perfect film.
There's disappointment present, but Spider-Man 3 I can still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I definitely think I think it's better than some have claimed, but it's definitely got its issues, and we'll talk about it when we do Spider-Man 3. Kirk, thanks for coming on as always.
My
a lot
pleasure,
of fun to have you around, and I never really know how to end these, so I'm just gonna say, ciao. Thanks, guys.
Bye.